Odell Beckham Jr. has never been one to fly under the radar. This past weekend, no exception, going for 222 receiving yards and 2 TDs against the Ravens. But not only that, but in celebration, Beckham removed his helmet, drawing a penalty before proposing to the kicking net on the sideline, something his head coach wasn't a fan of.
He came up to me right after. We had a discussion about it. We can't have it. He knows that. He went out and wanted to fire up the kickoff coverage team and the defense. He knows we can't have it.
Hey! And we welcome former Giant and Super Bowl champ Antonio Pierce. Antonio, how we doing?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah?
Giants got to win, so you can always come to a debate that's feel a little bit better than that.
No doubt.
Right? You think Odell's being over-criticized?
No. And he's bringing it all upon himself. I'll say this. I was at the game Sunday and watching it in person and seeing the emotions of that game, from the crowd booing because they couldn't get a first down, they couldn't move the ball, to Odell getting nicked up and hurt and out the game for a while, to when he caught that ball down the sideline and ran, and watching how he energized that whole entire stadium, defense, team, coaching staff. It's like this. He brings so much attention to everything he does, to what he says, to how he dresses, to his hair, to his play, that it's a shame, and I don't think we've ever seen this in New York in a long time, but he has the Giants by the throat. Because without him, they can't win. They won't win. You've seen that now. Yeah, he's been in for 3 years and have won a lot of ball games, but they don't have a chance. And it goes back to last year when Coach Coughlin didn't do anything about Odell and those 3 personal fouls. They understand as an organization that without this guy's emotion and fire, think about this. The week before when they played Green Bay, he was on good behavior. Really didn't make any big plays, nothing really fancy happened. They lost. He acts a fool. He does all that stuff on the sideline, and the entire team gravitates towards him. And it's crazy. And again, we make a lot out of the media about this kicking net that he's kissing, that he's married to, he's proposed to, that he's loving right now. But at the end of the day, Odell's bringing this on himself because of the media market that he's in, and that he has the Giants by the throat, and there's nothing that they can do or anybody else in the New York market, maybe in the NFL, can do about this guy because of how dynamic he is as a player.
Boy, you said a lot. Thank you for the Super Bowl, by the way. You said a lot, just then I want to respond to it. McAdoo, first of all, came out and said we live on Odell's emotion. I mean, the head coach is saying that we thrive off this guy's emotion. So you're right, he may have him by the throat. The answer to the question, is he being overly criticized? The answer is yes. He's being criticized out of proportion. But does he deserve criticism? The answer is also yes. Now, look, you bring up his explosive play and his greatness, and I'm sitting here saying he's the best in the business. You take whoever you want. I think my guy's better. Yep. Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, whatever. On the field, I don't think any of those guys are as good as Odell. I don't think they're as good. You know what I'm saying? I think he's number 1. But as Uncle Ben from Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. This is not Larry.
You know what?
Yes.
I appreciate that analogy.
Yes.
I'm proud of you. You didn't bring up Shakespeare.
No.
You didn't bring up Socrates.
Uncle Ben.
It's actually in the Bible, too, though.
Spider-Man. I'm good with it. I get that one. Thank you.
Now, take Larry Donnell.
Okay.
Larry Donnell is a veteran tight end, and he pulls the same move that the kid from Louisville pulls. Right. Look at not fighting for the first down, and Odell Beckham Jr. bails you out on a slant, which he's done before, that he takes to the house. But then he acts a fool. He takes off his helmet and gets hit with a penalty that could have cost the Giants the game. So does he deserve criticism? He absolutely does. Is he getting too much? Probably, because he's masking some things on the Giants. I'll say this. When you won the Super Bowl, Antonio Pierce, Jeremy Shockey was a top 5 player at his position. So was Tiki Barber. And people thought, well, they kind of have the Giants a little bit because they're not Odell Beckham Jr. talents, but they're top 5 at their position. Yeah. And what happens? When did the Giants actually win the Super Bowl? When Tiki left the team, when Jeremy Shockey got hurt before that
But the reason we won is because we had talent. We had other talent around him. There's not a lot of talent on this team.
Shepard's talent? No, I'm not saying get rid of Odell Beckham. I'm just saying that no matter how good a player is, if a franchise thinks they have him by the throat, they're wrong. No player is so important to a team that they become bigger than the culture of the team. If that's happening, that's a mistake.
Well, what are we watching? What are we watching? It's happening each and every week.
Well, they believe that the energy is good for them, but they got to rein in when it gets out of control.
They can't. Then they're showing you that they can't.
Are you finished? Let me tell you something. I don't give a damn what kind of attention Odell Beckham Jr. is bringing to himself, or the fact that you might believe that, you know what, he's got to calm down. I won't refute that, but I must admit, Antonio Pierce, I find myself ashamed of you today. This is the first time I've ever felt this way about you. In all the years that I know, you know I got love for you, baby. I'm quite ashamed of you today. I can't believe what's coming out of your mouth. Let me get this straight. You have a quarterback in Eli Manning that has led the league in interceptions in 07, 10, and 13. 26, 29, 32 interceptions. That's Eli Manning. You have a quarterback who's been the quarterback of the franchise and hasn't missed a game in over a decade. But they've missed the playoffs in 6 times in the last 7 years. You have a coach who's in his first year, who was who was working with Eli Manning, the protege of Mike McCarthy in Green Bay before he came to the New York Giants. By the way, when the Giants decided to let go because we needed a culture change, they got rid of Tom Coughlin and kept everybody else. As far as I'm concerned, I think they even kept the ball boys, the equipment men, whoever was the sanitation workers. They kept everybody. The only person that's gone is Tom Coughlin. And we're sitting here and looking at Odell Beckham Jr. as the problem. I'm sorry. Where the hell were y'all 6 of the last 7 years? 2 of those years was the only time that Odell Beckham Jr. has been there. What about the other 4 years when you didn't make the playoffs? What about the model of inconsistency that you've been? I love Jerry Reese as a person. A legitimate argument could be made if Tom Coughlin had to go, he should have gone too. And I got love for the man, and I'm rooting for him. I hope that he achieves success. But the fact of the matter is that they haven't shown up. And we got the same problems. Rush and attack. How many times we've been questioning their running game? It's ranked 30th in the league right now. We've been questioning their defense against the pass. Where are they ranked? Number 22 overall. And then, of course, Eli. 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a QBR, one of your favorite stats, of 60. But we talking about Odell? Come on, y'all. I'm not trying to say that the man is not problematic. Odell clearly has his emotional issues. We don't know what they entail. We don't know how expensive they are. We just know there are issues that need to be addressed. And we'll just leave it at that. But the brother shows up to play. I don't want to hear from McAdoo. I don't want to hear from Eli Manning, who's the epitome of professionalism. Always says the right things. Never says a critical word, Giants fans, ever. But he's on WFAN radio yesterday talking about how his act would be tired if he didn't produce on the field.
Shouldn't have said that.
Hold on.
Hold on. What does that tell you about Eli, though? He's getting tired and fed up.
Tell me.
He's getting tired and fed up.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying I've been tired of you, Eli. That's my point. I'm not saying, listen, I don't mean that Eli can't play. I know he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. 6 times in the last 7 years. I mean, my Lord, you listen to Janet Jackson. I know she ain't made an album in a while, but we all remember What Have You Done For Me Lately? This man has not done much. I mean, 6 times in the last 7 years, you don't make the playoffs, and you gonna go on New York radio talking about this brother when he's the only reason Eli's relevant?
You know why?
The only reason?
You know why he's doing it? Because it's my team. That's what he's letting everybody know. Regardless of what we talk and how much we talk about Odell, Eli's saying this is still my team.
And I don't have a problem with that. But I got a problem with you because you are a Super Bowl champion. You are a former Giant. You know as well as I do that right now, Odell Beckham Jr. ain't the problem.
No, I didn't say he's on the problem.
that.
That was a question. Is he being over-criticized? I said he's bringing that on himself by his actions, and the team and nobody can do anything about it. So he's going to just be out of control until it gets to a breaking point where the bubble pops on him and he ain't ready for what's about to happen.
I throw this at both of y'all. If Odell didn't become a distraction, would he have started seeing the ball more? Would he have gotten?
No,
I mean,
he would not have.
There we go.
No, he would not. I don't have a problem when Odell.
That's what I'm saying. You saw what happened.
I don't have a problem when Odell throws a temper tantrum on the sideline, yelling and screaming at coaches and players like, "Get me the ball."
That's what I'm talking about.
That's not a problem.
I don't want the 50-yard
I have a problem
penalty.
when he takes his when he gets warned and then the next play seeks contact out of bounds. He could get thrown out of the game. I have a problem when he takes his helmet off, putting the other team in a position to potentially beat the Giants. All the other stuff is all good. Tell him to get you the ball, and Eli, get him the ball. I mean, and by the way, can you make it a throw that is not behind him or overthrow? Get him the ball.
All right.
Antonio, good times, right?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Of course, Des Bryant and Tony Romo should be moved at the end of the year. Why not? Move them while they have high equity. They've both been proven to be injury prone. And championships are about systems anyway. And that's how you win championships, not with individual talent, but with systems.
They should not trade Des Bryant. Why? Because in this league, you need a #1 wide receiver. Come playoff time, you're going to need that #1 wide receiver to take the pressure off the rookie quarterback and off the other receivers.
Stephen A., if you want to trade Romo, you are simply inviting the problems from last year that we don't have a backup quarterback. Let's say, God forbid, Dak Prescott gets injured. Who's going to be our backup quarterback? Butt Fumble Sanchez? Please, me or you could throw better than him for the Cowboys.
And Stephen A. Smith, I know you didn't have a gall to disagree with the great Donovan McNabb about Des Bryant being expendable. Of course he's expendable. If the quarterback is expendable, you know the wide receiver is expendable. And Stephen A., don't think I ain't got no suits. I'm coming at you. Only reason why I'm wearing this T-shirt is I'm honoring Stuart Scott, the late great Stuart Scott. I'm coming for y'all's first date.
You honoring Stuart Scott there, of course. Stephen A., you're just inviting the same problems from last year. Listen to these folks, would you? The First Take Your Take viewer contest is here, and you just saw a few of our submissions already. We love them. Thank you so much for sending them in. And you could win a chance to debate the guys right here on national television. All you got to do, go to firsttakeyourtake.com, upload a 1-minute video with your your best sports original debate. Keep it clean, plus no music, team, logos, trademarks, copyrighted material. 2 winners will be selected by our show staff. Get busy. We could see you right here taking on these 2 at the debate desk.
I like the brother with the Stuart Scott shirt on.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little innovative. I liked his delivery. I like what he had to say. Right now,
He's your favorite?
He's my favorite so far.
You know what I like?
He has flavor, and he didn't just regurgitate one of our arguments. He took something a step further, and he had a delivery.
You know what else he did? He knows you 2 are wardrobe police, so he shut it down that he has suits, and he was just representing for Stuart Scott, which we appreciate.
Yep, always.
Cowboys rookie running back, meanwhile, Ezekiel Elliott has been a standout this season, going for a career-high 157 rushing yards this Sunday and helping Dallas get to a 5-1 record. Zeke has impressed his teammate Des Bryant, who told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram he predicts Elliott will rush for 2,000 or more yards this season. So where does Elliott's awesome start rank in NFL history? He's off to the 2nd best start ever through 6 games in terms of rushing yards, behind only Eric Dickerson. Wow. Stephen A. Or I'll start with you, Max. Can Zeke get to 2,000 yards?
He can. To start this season, before this season started, Ezekiel Elliott was the choice of many as the #1 overall fantasy pick.
Yep.
#1 overall in your fantasy draft. If you go first, take Ezekiel Elliott. Why? Because he was a stud in college. Because he is fast, like his 40 time is fast. Even his, it's not always zigzagging, but boy, he can hit a hole. And because the Dallas Cowboys have not only the best offensive line in the game, but they plan to use it. The plan coming into this season, even with Romo as quarterback, was they're going to hand the ball to Ezekiel Elliott more than any team is going to hand the ball to their running back. And unlike a team like Los Angeles, where they're just going to stack the box against Gurley because they have no other offense. In fact, there are some other offensive weapons on Dallas. They're going to have to play Dallas a little more honestly. So everyone knew Ezekiel Elliott was going to eat this season, which is why not getting off to the fastest start the first couple games, people like me were like, whoa, the game plan is to give him the ball. They're giving it to him. The offensive line is amazing, and he's still not racking up the yards. He needs about 120 yards a game the rest of the way to get to 2,000 yards. It's been done before, after all. And I absolutely think he can get it. If you look at these holes the offensive line is opening for him, Stephen A., they're sometimes not touching him for 8 or 10 yards. It's not like he's breaking tackles. He's going through wide open holes with breakaway speed. He can get it.
He's got 2 games against the Eagles coming up. He's got a game against the Baltimore Ravens coming up. He's got a game against the Minnesota Vikings coming up. He's got a game against the Giants coming up. And Detroit and Tampa. I'm quite sure he'll have a few hundred more yard-plus games. I'm quite sure he's going to get close to 300 carries because DeMarco Murray in his 1,845-yard season had 292 carries. He ain't getting 2,000 yards. It's not going to happen. Because somehow, some way, again, y'all don't understand who the Cowboys are and how they're going to mess things up. It's easy to give him the ball that much now because Des Bryant's not there, okay, and Tony Romo is not back. You don't have questions and trepidation about that. Remember, it don't matter who you start if all you're going to do is hand the ball over to Ezekiel Elliott. But when you have to worry about that, okay, that's an issue. So Dak is going to be in a mood to prove himself, and they're having more and more faith in him and letting him venture out and take more risk and do more things. Then you've got Des Bryant and his imminent return. You still got Jason Witten and Cole Beasley to get the ball to. You have Darren McFadden ultimately coming back with Alfred Morris already there, even though Alfred Morris only got like 33 carries and Ezekiel Elliott already has 137. You got to be concerned about the fact that even though he's a rookie, he's a fourth overall pick in the first round. You're going to want to be cognizant and protective of him. So all of those elements that come into the equation are going to dissipate the number of touches to some degree. It's going to interfere with what they've been doing over the first 6 games. And as a result, that's going to get in the way. I'm not saying he couldn't, meaning he doesn't have the ability to pull it off, because he clearly does, particularly behind that offensive line. But one of those elements, if not a multitude of them, will come into play, which will prevent him from getting 2,000 yards.
I disagree. 2 reasons. 1, the most impressive thing about the Dallas Cowboys this year, and you hear analysts say this, and sometimes it sounds like BS when you have nothing better to say, but sometimes it applies. The team doesn't know what it is, who they are. They don't have their identity. Dallas has its identity. It is a time of possession, ball control offense. You do that by running the ball. You know, you don't do that by taking shots down the field constantly. You do that by handing it to a dominant back behind an excellent offensive line and with a quarterback that's not going to turn the ball over. That's exactly who Dallas is. That's how they're having their success. And furthermore, that's just the execution of the game plan heading into the season. This is who they wanted to be and planned to be, and now it's successful. That's 1. 2, in terms of being protective of the running back, you're not protective of your running back. Well, they spent a high draft pick on him. What you want to do with a running back is use him up before you have to pay him. Right now, you don't really have to pay him. And running backs, the shelf life is they start to kind of fall off at 28 by 30. They're just not the same. Use them up now.
We only got a couple of seconds left. I heard your point. Hear mine. Number 1, you wanted to do that primarily to protect Tony Romo. You don't have such concerns with Dak Prescott. Okay, you have to look at it from that perspective. And I think that absolutely cannot be ignored. And number 2, you would be right about Ezekiel Elliott, but keep in mind this point. What were the ingredients to their success as 3-time Super Bowl champions? Yes, you had Emmitt Smith, with a Michael Irvin, the playmaker, with a Hall of Famer and quarterback Troy Aikman. But the combination of the trio, it was a yin and a yang to it. It was a combination of going both ways. What you didn't do was give it to the young stud that was Emmitt Smith and said, we're going to run you into the ground. You wanted to be protective of him because you knew with him you could win Super Bowls for years to come. You ain't just chasing 1 year of glory. That is the difference. And that's why I said Ezekiel Elliott's going to get the ball. He's going to be successful. But 2,000 yards? Nah.